first Edge of the Page podcast.
It's the first one?
It's the very first one, man.
Really?
You're breaking my cherry.
Oh, my God. So how does it feel? I'll be gentle.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. I've never... I've been on a few of them, but I've never really hosted one before, so this is my first time.
Well, if anyone's more qualified to host a thing about geek comic books, it's you.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, that's pretty much what everybody's saying. So, let's have some fun with it.
Cool.
Let's do it.
All right.
This is Jason Rockman, by the way, from CHOM F.M. in Montreal, and Slaves on Dope, the lead singer of the popular metal band.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. So we're just going to get right to it, man. I'm just going to start off with some hot topics.
Can we just start off by addressing how awesome your t-shirt is?
Yes, for sure. Pop's Barbershop.
Yeah, Dave's rocking a Pop's Barbershop t-shirt.
Yeah.
And for some reason, every time you and I are together, we're in sync because...
I don't know how we do this.
You've got a Pop's Barbershop t-shirt on. We didn't call each other. And I've got a Luke Cage t-shirt on.
Yeah.
And the last time... there's been several occasions where we've seen each other and we've had the same t-shirt on.
I know, and it's weird. Like I literally I think I was actually wearing one of your t-shirts once, and we were literally wearing the exact same t-shirt. And then I think Free Comic Day last year we were both wearing a Star Labs specifically from the Flash TV series. Like we just happened to just always coordinate like that.
And I don't wear my Luke Cage shirt all the time. So it's just like I broke it out, because I knew you were a Luke Cage fan. So.
And you know what? And I knew you were one too. So I think that's what we do. We dress for each other. It's really weird, man. Anyway, there's sort of a format that I wanted to follow.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll
no, it's cool.
I'll stop talking about your t-shirt.
But... I sort of just want to start out talking about some stuff that's going around the comic book geek world and what's going on, and I actually have my notes here.
Cool.
And first off, let's just get down to business, man. Infinity War trailer just dropped yesterday.
Yeah, that was just all kinds of awesome, man.
I have to admit, I'll state it right now. I literally shed a little tear watching that, man.
It's the kind of thing, and I don't want to spoil anything, but if you haven't seen it now and you're listening to this, you're probably just something's wrong with you.
Yeah, there are a few people that I guess it just doesn't impact at all.
Yeah,
and then there's us where it's just it's a religion.
Well, just finally seeing Thanos more than in an after credit scene and to the whole Infinity Gauntlet story and just this whole thing is to find this finally come to fruition. It's huge. It's massive.
10 years.
Yeah,
it's never been done before.
No,
they've created a universe, and 10 years in, they sort of everything comes together like that.
And it's great because they did it right. They took their time.
They
developed the characters perfectly. Yeah. They didn't rush anything. It also helps when things are going so well.
Yeah.
You look at the other side of the coin over, and I don't want to. I hate doing this, but
we'll get into it.
Right? Yeah. But listen. As far as the Infinity War trailer, I was blown away. I was blown away. I thought it was great.
I think for me, what really impacted me was the Wakandans with Bucky and Cap, and they're just they're coming to kick someone's butt,
Yeah, no, I know. And that's, obviously, I having Black Panther introduced into this universe, and we saw a glimpse of him, but now he's getting his own standalone in February, and which is going to lead into Infinity War. I think that's the last Marvel movie before Infinity War, so. It's just a great time to be a nerd and to be alive and to
that
see
movie
these.
Just looks phenomenal too.
Oh man, does it look good? I can't
believe, I don't think nobody expected Black Panther to really make an impact like that, and I think he was amazing in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
The actor's great. He's got an African dialect that I think he created.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I just can't wait. They just killed it with the trailer, with Run the Jewels, and
just everything about it is.
It was it just feels so cool.
It's got me very, very excited.
I don't know how it's gonna impact movies, but I really hope that it starts changing things in terms of how we see our superheroes, and I think Wonder Woman did a good job with that.
Yeah, Wonder Woman, I mean, was some saving grace for Warner, I have to say. But, you know, I don't know how.
Well, my number two thing is Justice League.
Yeah.
So we'll get right into that. What'd you think of that?
You know, I'm kind of like, when I think of when I look at superhero films, I guess I kind of stand in the same mold as a guy like Kevin Smith. I don't like to crap all over the genre.
I'm like that too.
Because I'm just happy that they're making these movies. So I always try to find the good. I'm the optimist. Always.
Me too.
And a lot of the times in some of the work that I do, I'll be asked to comment on it. And, you know, I'll do some, I do junkets for Warner. I'll do junkets for Disney and for Marvel and which is Disney. And I'll go and I'll be asked sometimes to give my comment on the film through CTV or through Bell. And I, you know, I always try to be an optimist and see the positive because I'm not going to crap all over a superhero movie. Granted, there's moments where the bar has been set so high that you have to, and they've been set high by Marvel, that you have to at one point address if a company's not up to snuff with what's going on now in the standards. This isn't Daredevil, Ben Affleck days anymore. I mean, we are looking at stuff that is being done that is absolutely incredible. So we've got to look at it accordingly. In Justice League, for me, my biggest thing with Justice League was that the whole way that this whole universe has been handled has been wrong. When they started with Man of Steel, I loved Man of Steel. I loved Henry Cavill as Man of Steel, but then they tried to play catch up. And the idea, and it's kind of not their fault because when they were looking at the end of the Dark Knight trilogy, of Nolan's trilogy, they were hoping that I'm drawing a blank that Christian Bale would just move over and he was going to be the Batman, and he said no. Yeah. So their whole idea of starting this universe with Christian Bale and with Henry Cavill together fell flat. So they had to do something, and I think they should have just done a second Man of Steel movie. Or they should have done a standalone Batman movie. Yeah. But they tried to cram too much. They crammed everything into that second Superman movie, which I still call it a second Superman movie.
It should be called that. It was.
And I feel bad because what they started with Man of Steel, I absolutely adored.
I liked Man of Steel. I people crap over the DC movies so much.
I don't. And Batman vs Superman, I didn't hate that movie. There were elements of it that I found it felt rushed. Yeah. And nowadays you can't give people that. They don't want to. They know that they're going to be getting. They know they're getting sequels. They know they're getting multiple movies. So don't rush them. Yeah. Let it develop. Let it marinate a bit. And they haven't. Wonder Woman was a breath of fresh air because Wonder Woman felt like a standalone. And yes, Justice League. You're asking your original question, what did I think of Justice League? I enjoyed Justice League. I think that Whedon injected what needed to be in there. There were moments you could tell that were obviously Josh Whedon.
It was so clear. I found it was so clear to see which scenes were Whedon and which scenes were Snyder, and apparently there is a Snyder cut somewhere, and there are people that want to see it. I personally think it can't improve the movie.
Listen, it's like when you go back to that Daredevil we were talking about with Affleck. They released a director's cut after, and it was actually way better than the original. Yeah.
But even the BVS one was pretty good. Even the Suicide Squad one wasn't too bad. I feel that I don't know if they do it for time or they just want to do it for a rating. Yeah, but it just seems to me like they should just kind of let the filmmaker, and I think do what they want, and I think that's something Marvel does a little bit more. Yes, and if Justice League would have come out 10 years ago, people would have been adoring it. But you just can't rush things the way studios want to rush things now. And like you said, you've got to let the people that know this stuff do it. Yeah. And you've got to have one person overseeing everything that has a vision. Yeah. And I think that with Kevin over at Marvel, he's doing that.
He is making those decisions that need to be made, and he's overseeing that universe, and that's what has to happen.
And if something needs to be tweaked, they tweak it.
Yes.
And I think that's my next thing.
But I didn't hate Justice League. I enjoyed it.
No,
I left the theater liking it.
And I think that's what's important.
The after credit scenes were fun.
They were amazing. Yeah.
Will we see another Justice League movie? We'll see. I mean, supposedly it lost boatloads of money.
Yeah.
But my favorite movie this year was Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, I like that too.
I thought it was genius. I thought Denis Villeneuve is a master. I thought the movie was incredible, and it almost superseded the original.
I agree. Yeah.
So, but that movie was a commercial flop.
Yeah, I know. I checked it out maybe the weekend after, and it was an almost empty theater.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. It was a great afternoon.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it was that it was a different feel.
Yeah.
Than even the first one. I find it had its own look, its own feel.
It had it, yes. And
he made his own Blade Runner movie, and that's what sequels got it.
And it was great, and I saw it 3 times in the theater.
Wow.
And then when I got out, left the 3rd time, I wanted to go back and see it again. That's how much I like that movie. So
it's a great movie.
It really just depends on the individual, I guess. But yeah, Justice League. I didn't leave Justice League going, wow, I can't wait to see that again. I was like, I'll see that again when I get it on Blu-ray, because I will get it on Blu-ray. Of course.
Yeah.
And I'll probably buy.
I always pick them up.
Absolutely. But will I rush to see that in the theater again? No. But Ragnarok.
That's my next topic. Yes.
Ragnarok I saw twice in a week, and I had no issue with that.
That was like a rock opera. I don't even know.
It was great.
It's a perfect example of Marvel letting a director come in and do their vision. And I mean, it felt like a Jack Kirby comic book.
Yes.
Just jumping off the page.
Absolutely. Yes. It felt like you were in that Marvel has such a rich history of their cosmic stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what you felt like. You felt like you were in a Kirby comic book.
And I kind of feel like James Gunn kind of impacted the way he does his cosmic.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely
Marvel stuff.
I think they're like, a lot of people when they saw the trailer, they're like, oh, they're just going for the Guardians of the Galaxy laughs. But it felt like its own thing.
It did feel like its own thing.
I got a chance to interview Taika Waititi, and
yeah, I saw that.
That guy is just, I mean, the character that he plays.
Oh. Korg.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, he's one of the best things in the movie.
They could do a whole spin-off of those two characters, and I think people would love it. And that's what I think is great about that movie, is that it introduced other characters too. Valkyrie was really great. And I think these little kind of like side Marvel characters. That's what these movies do. They just create these amazing versions of these characters, and that's something that DC just has to sort of pick up a little bit. And Wonder Woman kind of felt like a little bit more like the Marvel feel of a movie.
Yeah.
And I think there are parts of Justice League that did have that. Mm-hmm. Like personally, the scene where spoilers, but personally the scene where the League is going up against Superman.
Yeah.
That for me was my favorite scene in the movie.
It was great.
That felt like a comic book.
It was great. And I mean, granted, I did spend a lot of that scene looking at the mustache.
The mustache, everybody's
which kind of made me sick. God,
I tried to forget about it.
And I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, there's people that...
it was worse than the cell phone footage scene.
It was. It was worse.
I didn't even know what that was. He looked like a cartoon.
But I mean, I think that scene when he resurrects, it is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and Aquaman was great.
Aquaman was great.
Aquaman's reaction in that scene was cracking me up. He's like, he's not good. He's not good. Yeah.
Aquaman was good.
Yeah.
Aquaman's scene when he's sitting on the lasso.
That was amazing.
That was great. Yeah. So there were moments in the movie that when I think back, I was like, wow. Yeah. But I didn't.
Their solo movies, I think, are going to be.
That's what they should focus on.
And they should have did them first.
Okay, now you want to talk about Flash in that movie? I loved the character that played Barry.
Yeah.
I didn't like him in the suit. I thought the suit was ridiculous.
Like I am such a lot of people complain about his running too.
I am such a fan of Grant Gust.
Yeah, me too.
And the television Flash. And I was so upset when they didn't cast him and they didn't fuse those universes together. And I'm hoping that Marvel does that with Netflix. And I'm hearing that they're not. But I'm hoping that Marvel will incorporate Luke Cage from TV.
I think eventually they may not have a choice because they're going to have to create a new Avengers team.
Yeah.
And
they need to, because that is the way that you make this whole thing work. Because when we're invested in these characters, and remember, we invest hours into these characters on Netflix, way more than we invest in the films.
Yeah.
So to get a guy like the television Luke Cage,
right,
to appear in a Spider-Man movie, they're all great.
They're the best casting of any comic book series.
Who else are you going to put besides Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock? I mean, who else? He is Daredevil.
Yeah.
He's Daredevil. He's Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
You know, who they have cast as Jessica Jones as well.
Yeah.
And John Bernthal is the Punisher. I mean, come on.
That's my next thing.
Yeah. But anyways, we won't jump back.
Yeah.
Ragnarok. I thoroughly enjoyed Ragnarok. I thought it was strong. I thought it was the best Thor movie.
The Hulk was great.
Hulk was great. We finally got to see the Hulk in the light that I wanted to see Hulk, because Hulk's my favorite character. Yeah. See him talking. Even though we saw that stuff in the trailer, like, he's my friend from work, like, it didn't ruin it. There was more.
There was a lot more to that fight, and it was amazing.
Stan Lee's cameo was the best. Spoiler alert: when he cuts Thor's hair,
one of the best cameos he's done.
It's incredible. I mean, who else is going to cut Thor's hair but Stan Lee?
Yeah.
So, I love the movie. I thought it was great.
It was really,
and one of the best movie posters.
Yes.
The second one, the last one they did, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The poster was amazing.
Yeah.
And we're in an era now where a lot of these posters really suck.
Yeah, I know.
And this poster was
Marvel specifically, I find.
Some of their posters can suck, but this poster, they really and you know, that it's unbelievable. And then when I saw the one that they did for Black Panther, I'm like, okay, they're starting to get the poster game back, because the Spider-Man ones were awful. The Homecoming ones were horrible.
Yeah.
So it's all around. I thought Ragnarok knocked it out of the park.
And Hela was amazing too. Kate Blanchett killed it.
Come on, Academy Award winner.
You can see she's like loving it the whole time.
Yes,
and
she was
so
great.
important. You know, I didn't get that with Ben Affleck at all.
No, not at all.
I don't know. That's another thing I want to talk about. Is Batman in that movie?
Yeah,
really bothered me.
And he didn't bother me. And, you know, when Batfleck happened and everyone was going on about him, I said, no, we'll give him a chance. And
the suit looks great. I will say, like, his normal suit, not the tactical one. I'm not crazy about that one.
But the suit looked good.
Yeah.
In Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
The suit looked good, and he looked good in the cameo in Suicide Squad.
Yes, he looked great because they're dark.
But in certain lights, in this suit, I'm like, what are you doing, man? You look like a goof. He looked like the fat Elvis. When Elvis, like, you know, that later part in Elvis's career, he looked like puffy. He didn't look like...
He looks like he can't move.
No. And then I'm hearing... it's funny because I was listening to Fat Man on Batman.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Kevin Smith talking about who his casting for Batman would be. And it's so true. The only guy that could play Batman for me and Bruce Wayne and walk the line perfectly is John Hamm from Mad Men. He is perfect.
I once thought that too.
He would be great as Batman, but I'm hearing it's going to be Jake Gyllenhaal. Because Affleck ain't staying.
You think he's gone?
Affleck?
He's saying that he's going nowhere, but
I don't think he's going to stick around. I don't think so. I mean, we'll see.
You know what? I'm looking forward to that movie that they're doing.
Yeah,
because I've heard it kind of it's going to have like a film noir kind of feel to it, and we'll see. Suits could always be tweaked.
There's
Flash they could tweak it.
Yeah, that Flash suit was horrible. Yeah. That was really bad.
Superman's one looked better. It
Superman,
was brighter.
I had no issue with Superman. I had no issue with Aquaman.
He was really good.
Aquaman looked great. Wonder Woman. She's
the
great
star.
She is, and it's good. And I'm glad she's the star.
Yeah.
Cyborg was the surprise for me because I really was like, okay, where are you going? Okay, first of all, why are you not putting Jon Stewart in this movie? It made no sense to me. And why is Idris Elba not Jon Stewart?
Yeah,
that was an issue. But
we did get to see a little bit of Green Lantern, though.
Yes.
I geeked out over that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen that ring fly up? Like, whoa, who's it going to?
Who's it going to, yeah.
But, you know, to see Cyborg, I was always a Teen Titans fan. Like, since the new Teen Titans, since they relaunched it. Back in, you know, I remember, like, I was in the
Perez days.
Yeah, I was 9 years old when I bought that off the stand, you know? So I'm a huge Titans fan, especially a purist for the beginning stuff.
Yeah.
And when I saw Cyborg on screen, I'm like, they nailed it. Like when he was walking around and he's talking to his dad and he's up in the attic and he has to hide.
Yeah.
you felt the weight of him.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, you got it. Like, if this guy's going to be like a ton.
And I find the actor really did a great job.
Fantastic.
With him.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that was there. So, there were some positive things about the movie.
Yeah.
But man.
And I think it made people leave the theater feeling good. I think that's what's important.
When Ben Affleck goes to Iceland or wherever he went to go talk, that if you look at those scenes where he's talking to talking to Jason Momoa and asking who the stranger is that comes in on the tide and this and that, the way that was shot, the lighting and all that, the way that looked great. But then there's other parts where I'm watching the movie, I'm like, there's like 6 different people put their fingers in this movie and tried. Like, there's no cinema. When you watch Blade Runner, there's a look throughout the movie.
Yes,
there's a cinematographer that was really responsible for making that thing look incredible.
That guy is going to win an Oscar or something.
And why Blade Runner is going to probably get nominated and win because it tanked at the box office. So the Oscar loves it when the Academy loves it when the movies do really badly, because then they can be art house movies and they can give them all the awards they want. But if it would have been a huge success, they would have just like no. But yes, Batfleck. It wasn't the.
And I don't find he actually acts like Batman yet. Commissioner Gordon was great.
Yeah,
J.K. Simmons really impressed me.
And all that, all those scenes about all that talk about the internet stuff before, seeing him working out. I don't know if you remember seeing him getting jacked in the gym. There's that story.
I don't think it was for that movie.
I don't know, because I expected to see more of him and I didn't see enough of him.
Yeah, exactly.
They could have used him more.
But I find
but he was good.
He had that dry humor that we expect out of Jim Gordon and stuff. And but I just want to see Batman act like a detective, act like a really a smart guy.
Yeah.
And I don't think us as fans, we always have this sort of idea of the characters in our heads, but I just don't think Batman would have wanted to work with them. I think obviously they're just continuing from the last movie, but I think I would have much preferred if he was just like, I don't need anybody,
Yeah,
then Wonder Woman gets them all together, and then he shows up.
Like, Batman's always the guy that's up in the rafters, and they're all sitting around. They're like, "Where's Bruce?" And he's up here. Like, the idea is he's going out and recruiting everybody.
Yeah,
doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
I know. That's not Batman.
I think we could have had Alfred help Wonder Woman do it without Batman knowing, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I think it would have been, I think I would love to have rewritten that whole movie.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't know. I don't know why they can't just make it feel like the cartoons. It's in the comic books. Just do it. Just do it.
There were some issues, but hey, we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to a second watch on Blu-ray, and hopefully with an extended.
And what they tease at the end, with I guess we can say it, with Luthor.
Oh, if you're listening to this and you haven't heard the movie, too bad.
Yeah, exactly. So that last credit scene with Luthor and Deathstroke. Yeah. I just think that would have been a much better movie.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the villain. I mean, Steppenwolf.
Oh yeah,
was horrible.
That was probably the worst villain ever in a comic book movie.
Steppenwolf was wooden. Was there was no depth. There was no soul.
And the actor's really good, eh?
Yeah,
he's a really good veteran actor.
I know.
And I just don't know why they didn't use him. When you look at the old Jack Kirby Steppenwolf, he was just a normal looking guy.
I just don't understand. And then when you look at the villain at the beginning of Ragnarok.
Surtur, yeah.
The same look.
Same idea.
Horns, the same look.
But for some reason that worked. And he wasn't the main villain.
No, but I mean, what I'm saying is it just having seen Ragnarok right before Justice League, and then having seen the villains having the same look, and then all I'm thinking about is Tim Curry in Legend.
Yeah,
the same kind of villain,
and I'm like, and not even that good.
no. I mean, Tim Curry in Legend was.
I mean, it's just for me. I don't think if you're gonna do a character like that, why not just go straight for Darkseid and let it happen? And
I know, and you're not.
When you look at the Jeff Johns, Jim Lee, New 52 Justice League, which what they're pretty much going for,
right?
The first character they fight is Darkseid.
Yeah, and I don't think they had the luxury of having like a tertiary or a quartile freaking villain. They should have gone right for Darkseid.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Nobody knows that guy.
No, and that's
nobody cares. I think he was a villain in Earth 2 in the New 52. And I remember nobody read that book, and
I talked to a friend of mine who's a huge nerd, and he said the same thing. He said, "Steppenwolf, really?" So no,
just didn't feel right. anyway, yeah. So if they do that Legion of Doom kind of thing in the next movie, Marvel's never really done that.
Yeah.
You know, basically because they don't have Doctor Doom and stuff. But,
right.
You know, I would love to see that. I want to see all those villains. They got a Joker. They got Deathstroke and Luthor, and they could add anybody they want.
No, definitely.
That's what's so great about DC. They don't realize that, I don't think.
No, I know. They've got great villains.
Appreciate it. But yeah, they can really go in there. So we were talking a little bit about the Netflix stuff. Did you watch Punisher?
I am not all the way through Punisher, but I have been watching Punisher. I'm watching it with my son, and because my 13-year-old son's in grade 8, we have to watch together. Although I think he's cheating on me, because and then worst kind of cheating is Netflix cheating, because I'm pretty sure he's gone ahead. But no, I'm on the 3rd episode. But I adore the Netflix universe. Adore the Netflix universe. I think they're
people were really tough on Iron Fist.
Yes, and you know what? I give them credit for pulling off Defenders.
Yeah, I enjoyed Defenders.
I enjoyed Defenders too. I think that the standalones are better than the. That's my phone ringing. Sorry about that.
Okay,
the standalones are better than the Defenders, which is funny. I mean, you figure you say, oh, the Defenders is going to be fantastic, and the Defenders for me was, I loved it. I really, really liked it. It was great to see them get together, but it explained why Iron Fist was the way he was, and it made Iron Fist. I felt
that scene where him and Luke are arguing in the dojo. Was for me. That's what I wanted to see.
Yes,
that's exactly what fixed him.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that when you look at where Iron Fist is from, Iron Fist was on a plane with his parents. Was 10 years old and was left to die, and then a bunch of monks grabbed him. They brought him to Kowloon. They made him into a living weapon. Yeah. Of course, the guy's going to come back and be naive in the regular world. He's going to show up in New York City, and he's not. I mean, it's obvious, It's obvious that the guy's going to be a.
And that scene where they were fighting in the boardroom.
Yeah.
And you finally get to see Luke Cage and Iron Fist actually fighting side by side.
Oh yeah, and then when Iron Fist lays
those
one
comics were just I grew up on Power Man and Iron Fist, and that moment really, and it may not have impacted other people.
It impacted me.
Yeah, and I mean that's what's great about the time we're in right now is that It may not hit other people, but there's somebody out there that it will. And even these movies that we shit on, there's somebody out there that, it's like a Suicide Squad, for instance. There are Harley Quinn fans everywhere, like young girls and stuff like that, and that movie worked for that.
Yeah, no, definitely, and there were things about Suicide Squad that were great.
I liked the movie. I didn't have a problem with it.
I didn't love it, but there were things about it that were great, like Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, so.
But yes, I love the Marvel. I love the Netflix universe. I think it's great.
Yeah, great. And John Bernthal is 100% Frank Castle.
Yeah, he is. He is. I mean, he's. You do you feel bad for him?
No complaints. About him.
No, he's great.
It makes me feel that we've had. I think he's he's the fourth one.
He is the fourth Punisher. Yes.
And. I don't know why they just never tried to do that heavy drama. I guess because now is the time to do it.
I liked Warzone because it was like the Garth Ennis.
Yeah, he looked like him for sure.
He looked like him. It was like the Garth Ennis book. It was very dark. It was very violent. But
and he got Jigsaw finally.
Yeah. But it was, it was too. No one talks about that movie anymore. But it's too bad.
No, nobody, and they even fixed the origin and stuff like that.
Yeah. But hey, what are you going to do?
And this show, I mean, as depressing as it is, and it's really tough to watch at times because this guy.
You're finished it. You're done, right? You binged it?
Yes, I'm finished it.
And
I didn't binge it, but I watch a couple every other day because if people binge that, man, they're just gonna.
Yeah, they're just gonna be really upset.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really, really, really dark, and it gets super violent at the end. But yeah, definitely Punisher fans and even people that aren't. I think they should check it out because I think it's just on its own. It's just a great drama series.
Yeah. No, listen,
that's so much of the action, the Marvel superhero stuff.
The Netflix universe is amazing.
Yeah, the only problem with the Netflix universe is that they don't get to talk about what's happening in the MCU.
Well, they allude to it. They talk. They
allude to it.
They allude to like Thor,
loosely,
and they allude to
yeah.
what happened in New York, and they talk about things. So. I think they've left the door open.
Yeah,
it's just the cinematics got to tie. They've got to tie in together, and you know what? They will. I think. I really think they will. I think personally. I mean, you've heard about this whole idea that Disney's going to start their own streaming service.
Yeah.
I think they're not going to start their own streaming service. They're just going to absolve and buy Netflix, and that's
what they should do.
And they will have their own streaming service, and then you'll see the crossovers. I think that's going to. I think that's what's going to happen. The same way we're going to get our Doctor Doom back when they buy 20th Century Fox.
I really hope, and I hear those negotiations are intensifying, and I'm hearing all these rumors. I always take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because I just can't see why they would sell X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Why they would, because that franchise is sort of, I mean, there wouldn't be a comic book movie franchise. Fox didn't make X-Men.
2000's X-Men is still the benchmark for me. Yeah. It's still the one that put everything on the map. They were the ones that went out and did it right.
And now with Deadpool, I just can't see why they would sell, let that go.
Money talks.
Unless they do the same thing Tony did.
Did you ever think that Lucasfilm was going to sell to Disney?
And that's a good point.
And and at one point it's like, hey, we've done everything we can. I mean, how much more money are we going to make? These guys are the giants. Let's go. Let's just give it over to them and walk away. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Our entire childhood is just going to be owned by Disney.
But that's okay because so far, they are doing right by me.
Yeah.
They are doing right by me, and I've got no issue with anything that they're doing.
I used to say all they have to do is just buy Nintendo, and then my entire
your childhood is owned by Disney.
entirely. And we're just kind of switch a little bit more to more of the comic book industry kind of stuff. Are you reading anything lately?
I am really. I'm going to be picking up Doomsday Clock because I'm a Watchmen fan. But no, I have so behind on everything.
So
I think the last thing I read was Original Sin. I mean, that's bad. I'm really behind.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a while ago.
Yeah,
but
no, I'm behind. But I mean. It's there's always I'll always go into a comic book store and my interest will be piqued by
that's
something.
It, and there's always something going on that everybody's sort of interested in. Have you heard anything about the? Well, obviously you've heard about the sexual harassment stuff that's happening all over the place.
Yeah, of course.
But DC actually had an impact. Eddie Berganza, one of the editors over there at DC, has a few allegations against him.
Ooh, okay. Well,
and he lost his job because of it. He edited Wonder Woman, Batman, a few things like that, and I don't know I didn't go into the specifics, but I do know that it's everywhere right now.
And you know what? This is a really, really positive thing, I think. It's one of these times where you say to yourself, okay, there's going to be a zero tolerance policy that's going to be put in place by people now. And I think now companies are saying, okay, well, if we have anyone like that anywhere, I mean, look, just yesterday, Matt Lauer was let go.
Yeah.
And when I saw that,
I was like, "What?"
Yeah, and it's funny because the on air hosts that were dealing with that announcement, that dealt with it live, that had no idea what was happening, had to deal with it.
Exactly,
and you could tell they were emotionally they were upset.
Yeah,
but
of course,
at the same time, it was two women that were sitting in the chair, and they have to stay true to what's being what all this represents, and it's about time. Because if you talk to any, and I'm saying women and men are harassed too, but
yeah.
If you talk to women that are in the workplace that have dealt with this kind of crap for years, I'm really happy that all these guys are getting smoked out of their holes and that this is happening.
Specifically in the entertainment industry, I think it's time to...
It happens in every workplace.
In the entertainment industry, yeah.
It happens. And if you speak to any woman...
Yeah.
I guarantee you 4 out of 5 of them will have had some kind of weird experience with that. So I'm glad, and if that's what's going on, then that needs to happen.
Yeah, and obviously the comic book industry isn't. We've had a few rumblings over the years. Gamergate was another. I remember that.
I don't. What's that?
basically,
I'm scared.
There was there was in the gaming industry, video games, there was a little ruffle there where women in the industry were getting sort of harassed over by men,
right? Yeah.
And it was just not. It was just crazy, it was just happening everywhere, and it's been a few years now that sort of slowly been building, and even in con culture, you work for Montreal Comic Con,
yeah,
and I have a few friends that are cosplayers and stuff like that, and I've seen it,
yeah. You put 60,000 people in a room or in a place, and then you have people that are dressed up. And you have some people that just don't know what the etiquette is.
No.
And that's why we're big on pushing, cosplay is not consent. You ask if you can take a photo.
Yeah.
We have a zero tolerance policy with that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
100% across the board on all the shows. It just, that shouldn't happen. And the minute that anything like that is brought to anyone's attention that's involved with putting the show on, or anyone that's an extension of the show, they know. That zero tolerance policy, and it should be. That's the environment where you should be allowed to be yourself, and express how you want to express,
and dress any way,
any way you want. And look, you can't stop somebody from gawking and looking, but there's a difference between looking and thinking something in your head and acting out.
That's what I just don't understand about it. Is I wouldn't even fathom saying some of these things and doing some of the things that these guys are doing.
Yeah.
And, and it's just best to, for the rest of us that don't do those things, to sort of weed them out.
And when you see something like that happen, you've got to say something.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's not enough of that. There's not enough people that go out and put themselves out on a limb and do something.
Yeah. And even Gal Gadot, who plays, or Gadot, I don't know exactly how she pronounced it. But,
it's Gal Gadot.
Plays Wonder Woman. She threatened to even quit. Over Brett Ratner, who apparently said a few nasty things on the X-Men sets and stuff like that. So and I think his company helps produce Wonder Woman.
Well, and having her in the position of power now and being the coolest thing in that universe,
they cannot get rid of her.
If they get rid of her, they just
oh my gosh, she's like she lights up the screen, But but I think good will come out of it, and that's what we
same. I agree, and I think good's already coming out of it because we're talking about it, and there's conversations that are happening. It's not these, it's like where we're recording, we're in a back room of a store, right?
Yeah.
This is where a lot of this stuff would happen in a workplace and stuff. So it's good. It's good that these things are coming to the forefront. And I think there needs to be a difference. People need to understand that there's a difference. I have a lot of people that will talk to me and they go, well, what am I supposed to do? I can't approach anyone anymore if I'm interested in them. I'm like, no. There's a big difference of going on a date with somebody.
Exactly.
And being interested in them, and then having to break that ice by leaning over and kissing them, and then having them say no. And going, okay. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're on a date with someone, you lean over and you try to kiss them.
Yeah.
And you're mixing signals.
Yeah.
You're mixing signals.
Exactly.
But it's when you take it past that point when someone says no, that you have to say, okay. Yeah. And we've all been there. I mean, I've been there when I was a teenager, and you're trying to get to first base, second base, third base. You're experimenting, and you have someone say no, and you're like, oh, come on, like no, and then at that point it's like, okay, it's no.
Yeah.
But we're talking about allegations of stuff that's really, like, some of this stuff that's been coming up
is just ridiculous,
especially in Quebec here. Some of it's just been horrendous. So the good riddance to those creeps, and I hope more of them get smoked out of their holes.
Definitely. It's about time. And also, we got a little shake-up over at Marvel as well, not in the sexual harassment way.
Oh, CB.
We're going to talk a little bit about CB.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's great.
Yeah, he I don't know if you ever met him or not. But,
I did.
I hear he's a great guy, and it's going to put Marvel in a different direction. I think they need it right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially because so much focus has been on the cinematic and the television.
Yeah.
So you need someone to kind of to step in and make sure the comics are going in the right direction. I know for me, being a lifelong Marvel fan and a DC fan, but more of a Marvel fan when it came to the comics when I was a kid, When I came back to comics, for a while I was reading again, and it was right when they were doing all that stuff with Green Lantern. They were doing Blackest Night, and they'd rebooted Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan had come back, and he wasn't the what was he? The
Kyle Rayner.
No, well, but Hal Jordan he was being the scepter, or you know what I'm talking about.
He was the scepter.
Yeah. So when they
Spectre. What's wrong with me?
So when they relaunched Green Lantern with Jeff Johns' incredible run, and I think Ivan Reis was drawing it.
Yeah.
That was all that stuff when they were doing all that stuff leading up to Blackest Night, and I mean DC was killing it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it is now, but
I know people reacting to the Rebirth very well, and even what I've read so far, I think it's far beyond what they were doing with the New 52. I think they kind of went back a bit to sort of just telling really good stories.
Yeah,
and everything I've read so far with the Rebirth stuff was just. It works.
Okay, good.
And Marvel's starting with their legacy stuff, and I think they're going on the same route by doing that. Whilst that happening to CB is great, he did kind of catch a little controversy this week with them finding out that he was using a Japanese writing alias. Did you hear anything about this?
No, I didn't hear that. Really?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was like Akira Fuji something.
Okay.
And basically, writing stuff under that alias, and he got a little trouble.
What kind of stuff was he writing?
From what I know, it was comic book stuff.
So he was writing.
It was Japanese type culture stuff, and the people thought they were reading from a Japanese author.
And it was him.
And it was not for DC. And even I think Bleeding Cool or one of these websites actually came to him and wanted a bio, a quick rundown, and he lied, saying he was like from Japan, from Tokyo, and and that takes it to a whole nother level, I think.
Well, yeah,
because obviously Stan Lee changed his name.
Yeah,
a few other writers do that. So I mean,
but maybe he just wanted to see if he could do something and have it just do well without. I mean, I don't know if you were ever a Stephen King fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember back in the day, Stephen King went under another name. I think it was Richard Bachman.
Okay.
I think it was Richard Bachman, but he went under an alias and put a couple of books out because he was Stephen King. He was the biggest author in the 80s, and he did a couple of books, and no one knew it was him. Right. And then he wanted to see if these books would do well on their own. So I think maybe it could be that thing. Where
I think it's what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
it's just
it blew up in his face.
Comic book Twitter is just freaking out because it's outrage day.
How do you put when Kiss pulled off no one knowing what they look like in the makeup?
Yeah,
I mean it's hard to do that now.
It is hard.
It's hard to do those kind of things now with the way information travels. So
yeah.
It's tough.
I think the Gorillas tried that too.
Well, and when you look at someone like Banksy, like the street artist Banksy, no one knows who he is, and they still don't know who he is. And he's one of the few guys that's able to pull off something where to that big of that grand of a scale, and no one know who he is. I mean, there's a handful of people that know who he is, but it's tough. It's tough to do stuff under.
Yeah, it is tough. It's tough to sort of like go out there and be somebody else, and yeah. But I wish him the best. I think I think it's a good course of action as far as the editing over at Marvel. And so we'll get to talking a little bit more about you now, man.
Okay.
I'm talking about this new song that just came out a couple of weeks ago. Just a little thing.
Just a little song we put together. Yeah.
Little thing that Slaves on Dope did with two hip hop legends.
yeah, that was fun.
What was that like, man? Work with we're talking about Daryl DMC McDaniels from Run DMC and Chuck D from Public Enemy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when I was 13 and I first heard Run DMC, I mean, I remember hearing Rockbox for the first time,
right,
and just being like, "What is this?" Mm-hmm. I had never heard a guitar, and I'd heard hip hop before that. Mm-hmm. Run DMC were. I was pretty early into hip hop, I was into Grandmaster Flash, and,
right?
I was
the
into,
Message.
like all that stuff, the Message, Rapper's Delight, all that stuff.
Right.
I was into hip hop early on, but Run DMC were the first massive group that just broke through.
I think they were one of the first hip hop stars.
They were my first love. I mean, because of them at the time, I wanted to get Shelto Adidas. They changed a lot for a lot of people. But when I heard Rockbox and the combination of a rock guitar with them rapping over it, it was like, whoa, what is this? And of course, Walk This Way, when they single-handedly revived Aerosmith's career, it was huge. But Run DMC had a huge impact on me when I was young, very young. But my adolescence till now, what shaped me in terms of my critical thinking, in terms of my political stances, in terms of my character as a man, was Public Enemy. And Chuck D is still, to me, is my barometer, my moral barometer, my moral compass. Like guys like him and guys like Henry Rollins are the guys that I take my cues from in terms of how you should be acting and how you should spend your time on this earth.
For sure. And he's still just like with Prophets of Rage and stuff like that. He's still out there, and
he's incredible.
The world needs those guys more than ever now.
They do, and what I love about Daryl is that Daryl is like a kid. He's got an enthusiasm for music. He's got an enthusiasm for. And you've met him,
Yeah,
he's an incredible person. He's as genuine as they get.
Yeah,
he has zero ego about him. He is just wants to create music, and he's excited about stuff.
Yeah, when I did meet him and interview him a couple of years ago at Comic-Con, I mean, he's just like. I couldn't believe, first of all, that I was like a childhood hero that I'm talking to right now. But beyond that, just it was the same weekend as a lot of these shootings and stuff that was happening in the United States. It just happened to be the exact same weekend, and to actually talk to somebody like that has impacted hip hop culture and the African American community in the States and stuff, and get his take on that stuff.
And he wrote a song about it called Flames with Miles Kennedy.
Wicked. That's
all about that, and it's on the EP. Actually, it's on this EP that the song we're talking about. Right. So I know Daryl's a special guy, but I mean, the way that all came about was I interviewed Daryl for a talk show that I was doing on CJD at the time called On the Record. And Daryl ended up coming to Montreal to do the show. Right. Another generous move on his part, because when I first reached out to him, I got introduced to him through a guy named Mitch LaFon, who I'll always owe. I'm indebted to him for this, because he was the one that put me in touch with Daryl. Wow. And when I first got in touch with Daryl, we were talking about him doing my show, and he said, I'd love to come up to Montreal and do your show. And I said, well, it's a radio show. We don't really have a budget for flying you in. He's like, no, I would never ask you all to pay for my flight, because I'll fly myself in. I was like, okay. We started talking back and forth about what day we would do it. And I mentioned to him that I would be able to set up some other interviews for him while he's here to try to, to piggyback on this, so he could talk to, so we got him on CTV. We got him a bunch of interviews. He did some stuff with Viceland and Vice, and it was great. And it actually happened on the same weekend as they were supposed to be getting a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Grammy.
Right.
And he didn't go to the Grammys. He came here instead. He's like, I don't care about no corny Grammy. He goes, I want to make music with y'all. So we ended up talking to him about music before he came, and he heard I was in a band. He goes, oh, let me hear some of your band. So I sent him some Slaves on Dope stuff. And he was like, I would love to collaborate with you. So, of course, I went back to Kevin, and I'm like, Kevin, what do we have that's lying around for the next record that we could send to Daryl that he could spit a verse on? So we sent him scriptwriter, and he loved it. And so we ended up recording that. At the same time, Cliff from Comic-Con, Cliff Caparelli, who's our program director, ended up coming down to Bell the day he was doing all this press, and met with him, and they cemented him coming to Montreal as a guest. So when he came back to Montreal for Comic-Con in that July, we shot a video for scriptwriter. Yeah. And then that August, we ended up going to, was it that August? I think it was a year after. We ended up going and playing in Madison, Wisconsin together. Okay. A show called Taste of Madison that they do every Labor Day weekend. So it was a year after that we did that. Okay. And the album came out, and we ended up doing press together in October. So we'd seen each other a bunch of times. Yeah. And we'd stayed in touch, and we collaborated on a couple of other songs together. And throughout all this stuff, we had said, when we first met, after him recording at Kevin's studio, that we wanted to do something together with Chuck D, because he said, you're a bigger fan of Public Enemy than I am. And he loves Chuck. Chuck's his favorite rapper of all time. Yeah. So we wrote a song, Coming Like a Rhino, and we sent it to Daryl, and Daryl did his verses, and I did the chorus, and we left a spot for Chuck D, and he's like, I'll get Chuck. So he got Chuck, and we sent it to Chuck, and I'll never forget getting an email at 3 a.m. My phone pinged as it did before in this interview because I forgot to turn it off, which I always do, and I get this ping, so I wake up, it's 3 a.m, my phone's on my bed table, and I pick it up and I look, and it says email, and it was from Chuck D, and it says Rhino verse, and I'm like, holy shit. So I get up and I go put headphones on and go in the living room and I listen to the verse, and all I'm hearing is this verse like with no music behind it, and I put it on, and all I hear is, coming down from the mountain come the king of rock, you better not, and I'm just like, oh my god,
it's one of the sickest verses I've heard ever.
So I hear it and I'm like, okay, this is Chuck D that just sent me something. And he's like, and in the email, he's like, here you go, guys. I hope this is okay. I'm thinking to myself, are you fucking kidding me? Yes, it's beyond okay.
I hope this is okay.
So I listened to that, and then I send it to Daryl, and Daryl loses his shit, and we end up mixing the song together, and then we wanted to do a video for it. So Daryl said, I'm going to be with Chuck in L.A. I'd like to film him and I. So we shot the video in 3 different locations. One, the Montreal location with the kids and with the teacher, who's my wife, was all shot by Cataround Films, and that was shot at Burling Academy in Verdun. And then Chuck and DMC were shot in LA near Chuck's house. Through a friend of mine, Colin, who shoots for Capitol Records, who does a bunch of stuff. So we commissioned them to go do that shoot, and then the rest of the video was shot by Ryan Stick, and then Ryan put it all together and edited it, which I thought, and he did a great job.
I'll try to get Ryan on the show.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's, you got to have Ryan on the show. Definitely. Ryan would probably be 1,000 times better than me. But the video came out great. The song came out great, and Daryl wanted to put it out on vinyl, so we ended up finding a friend of mine, a guy named Carl Groger from Brookville Records in Long Island, has a label and he has a store, and he put out the record, the EP, which we put out for Record Store Day. And I just came back from spending a weekend with him, doing 3 in-store signings, one in Long Island, one in Ford, New Jersey, and then one in Rochester. And it was great. I mean, just see fans' reactions to Daryl, and to see Daryl putting out something on vinyl. And you know, the cover was done by Tony Moore from Walking Dead.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's crazy.
He did the sketch of that cover, and it just the whole thing was great. And you know, Miles from Kennedy's on there. From Miles Kennedy he's in Alter Bridge, and he's also in Slash's band.
Right.
He sang that song Flames, which is all about the killings, you know, the police violence in the U.S. Rome from Sublime's on there. And we're on there, and there's another song that Daryl did with his band. So it's really cool. It's an EP, and there's only 4,500 in existence, and
that's wicked.
It was really.
Where can people get that?
You can get it through Looney Tunes Records.
Okay.
And your independent record stores will all have like a store like Autant in Montreal, or Sound Central Montreal can order it. It's available. It's definitely available.
Sweet.
They're going to go quick because there's not a lot of them. But
Daryl's also a huge comic book fan.
Massive.
We got to talk about that.
Yeah, he's got DMC Comics. They just put out number 3. He's working on number 4. He's like
he was literally inspired by
comic books. He's one of us, you know. He's one of us. He's and that's why I think we get along so well.
What's great about him is that you'll be talking to him, and then he'll start rapping. In front of you. And you're just like, I can't believe this is happening right now.
He's known to break into spontaneous rap.
It's phenomenal. It's like meeting a superhero.
It really is.
And
crazy. He looks like a superhero. The guy spends like 2.5 hours a day in the gym.
It's like meeting Luke Cage.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Definitely. And you actually got to get to go to San Diego Comic-Con this year as well.
I did.
Or last year.
I went. Yeah, this past summer. My son was turning 13, and I was turning 25 years sober.
You're right.
So
it was a big occasion.
We planned this for about 2 years. I said, okay, about a year and a half. I said, okay, I'm gonna go that summer 2017. I'm gonna take him to Comic-Con because it's a big milestone for me. It's a big milestone for him because, you know, my dad's Jewish, my mom's Irish Catholic, so it's a real mix. You know, but I'm not religious, right?
Right.
But in the Jewish faith, when you're 13, you become, you know, you're a man, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And you usually have a bar mitzvah. That was never going to happen with me because I don't observe any religion really. But I figured it could be his geek mitzvah.
Right, exactly.
So that's what I kept telling him.
That's
I'm like,
amazing.
That's going to be your good. And you know what? It was the best trip ever. We ended up going to LA.
I was living vicariously through you guys so much.
We had a great. We were gone for about almost 2 weeks. We went to LA for a bit.
Yeah.
We got to do some fun stuff in LA. We got to see Men Without Hats in LA, which was great. Which are friends, Ivan's a good friend of mine.
Right.
We did a bunch of stuff, stayed with some friends, and then we went to San Diego and we did Comic-Con, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's the Mecca for sure.
It was really cool. And you know what? I got to say, it was a great show. It was a lot of fun, but it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, my best time that I had there was when I was in the comic section. When I went through all the comic dealers and the Artist Alley and stuff.
Really?
I got to meet Len Wein, which is crazy because he passed away passed away 2 months or 3 months after. Wow. He had just passed away. And I got to see Len. I got to take a picture with him. And I remember my son and I went and we got a bunch of reprints of Giant Size X-Men.
Right.
Because we said, we got to go get these signed by him. And I went back over the weekend, constantly back to the table where he was at, and he wasn't there. And I think he only came for the first day. But people kept saying that he was there. But I just missed him. And I wanted to get these signed, and I'm just kicking myself. But I got to meet Len and shake his hand, and
that's good.
I had given my card to his my Comic-Con card to his handler, and I said, "Look, we'd love to get Len in Montreal.
Yeah,
he's a legend." And then he's like, "Well, he doesn't travel as much now. He's kind of sick." So that was for me, honestly, my highlight of San Diego was getting to meet Len Wein. It was amazing.
Yeah, he was just. I've never got to meet him, but. The impact he had on the industry is just incredible. When you look at his credentials, he edited Watchmen.
Yeah, yeah.
To be able to do that, I give anybody credit.
Anyone that can handle Alan Moore, my God, can you imagine?
That book must have been hell to edit. So,
and he's the creator of. He created Wolverine. He created the new X-Men. Yeah. I mean, the X-Men that he's a legend. He's a legend.
Brother Voodoo as well.
I think so.
I think so.
He did. Listen, he did a lot, and I got to meet and I have a sketch from God, I'm drawing a blank.
Herb Trimp.
Yeah, Herb Trimp. Both another guy who's gone. So these guys aren't
him. I did get to meet.
Herb was awesome.
He was amazing.
I drove him and his family back from Comic-Con one day.
Yeah.
They needed a lift to back to the hotel, and I remember the next day we were talking about cigars, and he loved Cuban cigars, and I brought him a bunch of Cuban cigars, and he gave me this like 11x17 Hulk sketch, fully inked, and I have that framed.
It's funny because I wanted to get a Wolverine sketch from him, and he was leaving when I finally got the nerve to actually ask him for that, and he was like, "Oh man, we're packing up, but give me your address." He never sent it, but just the fact that he was willing to do that.
Yeah, he was a nice shows that he was a really stand-up guy.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned you were in New York last weekend.
Yeah, and
you got to visit Jane Silent Bob's secret stash.
Yeah, my
which I think is another landmark for us.
Ryan Stick, who was with me on the trip, was one of my best friends. We ended up going to Red Bank because it was about an hour away from where we were staying. He's like, Rockman. He calls me Rockman. He's like, Rockman, do you think we could go check out Jay and Silent Bob's secret stash? Because it's like on my bucket list of things to do. I'm like, absolutely. We've got our, the signings we were going to were all, they were all started at 3 p.m. We had to be there at 2. We had time, so we went. And we were there for when it opened, and we spent like an hour and a half there, and it was really, really cool.
Sweet.
And we got to actually one of the producers of Comic Book Man.
Yeah.
Ended up coming to the signing that night.
The Daryl signing,
which we didn't even know, and then because Ryan had bought a Fat Man jersey,
right?
And the guy saw the Fat Man jersey. He was like, "Hey," he gave me his card. He goes, "I work with Kevin on Comic Book Man." So we were like, wow, we were just at the store today. Yeah. It was just a really funny thing. But yeah, it was, I had been there in 2000 when my band played at Ashbury Park in New Jersey. I had made the guys go about a half an hour out of the way to go to to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, and it was just fun to go back and see how much the store's grown.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And just to see Ryan's face. I mean, Ryan was just a little kid in there. And and Ryan turned me on to Kevin's podcast, Batman on Batman, which I had listened to, I think, once before, but we listened to a ton of podcasts. We listened to the Grant Morrison one. We listened to the review of Justice League that he did. And it was fun. It was really, really fun. So it was a great trip. And yeah, going there was really cool.
Yeah. I got to meet a couple of guys there they were at the Cornwall, the Cape.
Yeah.
Cornwall convention.
Yeah, well, Mike was one of the guys.
Mike and Ming, yeah.
Yeah, Mike was there. So Mike, Ryan did an interview with Mike, which he's going to put up. Right. And, I introduced Kevin Smith when he spoke in Montreal.
Yeah, I met him last year, yeah.
And I got to interview him. And he is the real deal. I mean, they don't get more down to earth, and he's another guy that's been a hero of mine ever since Clerks. You know, I remember when Clerks came out, and I've followed everything he's done. I've seen all his movies.
It's funny because
even Tusk, even Yoga
when
Hosers.
You meet him, he's just immediately your buddies. It just meshes right away.
There's zero pretentiousness about it.
Yeah, and I was wearing my Murdoch, Nelson and Murdoch Law and Order T-shirt.
Yeah.
He immediately was like, "I love that T-shirt, man."
Yeah.
He's one of us for sure.
He's a great dude. He's a great dude.
Yeah, for sure. So, over your career and stuff, I mean, you've gotten to do all these junkets and meet all these crazy people and crazy celebrities. Share some of these. Like, first of all, your the one interview that's your favorite of all time, if you can think of one.
It's really hard because I've done so many fun ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I've really gotten to talk to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've got more coming up. Like I've got some stuff coming up next week that is I can't even talk about. That's just going to blow people's minds. But it's I'm always getting to.
You're living the dream.
And knock on wood, I never take it for granted. I realize how lucky I am to be doing everything I do. And that's why when people ask me to do stuff and to be a part of something, I always want to be, I always want to give back. And listen, I'm really lucky to be doing what I'm doing because there's a million other guys that could be doing what I'm doing and probably do it better. But I'm in a position where I've worked to a certain point to get to do what I get to do.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in putting positive thought out there. And if you visualize something, it can happen. Yeah. So yeah, I've gotten to do some great stuff. I mean, for me, the interviews, I've interviewed you too. I've interviewed Peter Gabriel.
That's crazy, man.
I've interviewed, all kinds of people, like the Chili Peppers, a ton of people. Yeah. But really, the interviews that mean the most to me are the ones where it's been someone that I was a fan of when I was a kid. Yeah. Like when I got to interview the guys from Simple Minds. Like I was a huge Simple Minds man when I was a kid, fan. So when I got to interview Jim Kerr, that was huge for me. When I got to interview Peter Hook from Joy Division and New Order, that was huge for me. When I got to interview Chuck on the phone, that was huge for me. I interviewed the guys from Steely Dan on the phone. That was big for me. So there's been all kinds that have been really, really cool. Yeah. I'm always a little nervous. I mean, I didn't interview this summer with the Foo Fighters in LA. Right. I interviewed all six of them at once, and I met Dave Grohl before, but to really get to talk to them at their studio, that was really special. I got to hear the record early. I got to hang out with them and talk to them. It was really, really cool.
They seem like just such down to earth guys.
As down to earth as they get. And I just like talking to nice people. And I've been really lucky. I mean, I really haven't had too many people that have been.
Have you had like a really weird one? Or?
Yeah, I interviewed the singer from the Dandy Warhols.
Okay.
And that was really weird. He was weird. It was on the phone. He was strange. He was a strange guy. It was to the point where I was like, okay, I don't think I ever aired the interview. I think I canned it.
Really, eh?
Yeah, because I didn't, he was just bizarre.
What did they sing again? I can't seem to.
Heroin is so passe. Like they had a bunch of hits in the 90s, and evidently heroin was not passe with this guy because, I don't know, man, I shouldn't say that, but I've had a few, but honestly, like I would say 98% have been great.
Yeah.
And if someone is in an interview with me and they're not giving me, they don't want to be there.
Sometimes
it happens and they don't want to be there. I just cut it short. I just like, okay, great. Well, thanks for chatting and we're good. We don't need to go on and on about this.
I think one of the weirdest for me was Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah, he's a dick.
I had to stop reading his stuff because I was just like,
Yeah.
This guy was so mean.
Yeah, no. He's yeah. I mean, like,
I've never had somebody refuse to talk about themselves before.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I had to switch to like talk about his work.
Yeah.
Not himself. He didn't want to talk about himself. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah. It's just really strange.
And I always thought he drew people's noses weird anyways.
Yeah, I mean...
He made them always pointy and strange. And the way he drew Green Lantern, I mean, I know people love the Green Lantern run, but I don't know. I never liked it really much. I thought the way Ivan Reis drew Green Lantern was incredible.
Yeah.
And his action comic stuff...
Yeah.
Ivan Reis's action comic stuff was incredible. I remember picking that up and going, whoa, it was just, I mean, I liked it so much that I have a tattoo of Ivan Reis's stuff on my, I'm a big fan of his, so.
That's awesome, man. So, I guess like the last thing we should talk about that I have here.
I'm scared, what is it?
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, well.
That's coming out in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Everybody, I think, is super excited about that one. And,
I mean, listen, you know, I loved The Force Awakens. I don't care. People say it was a remake of A New Hope.
You know, I think it homaged.
It gave me everything I wanted in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
it did. You know, you got Harrison Ford back on camera. They were back in the Millennium Falcon. It had Carrie Fisher. It had an up and comer, you know, in Daisy Ridley. No, but I mean, it had an up and comer in the Jedi folklore that was, it left questions. You know, you didn't get Mark Hamill till the end. And what was great was that it gave me that feeling that I hadn't gotten since the original trilogy. When I got out of the theater, I was like, shit, I got to wait 2 years for the next one.
Definitely.
And that was
at least we got Rogue One in the middle, so
right, which is great. And all these people, there's a new, so like before, there's a new Star Wars movie every month, or every year. I'm like, well, whatever, dude. You know what?
Why do people complain about that?
Because people just like that bitch. But I got to tell you, I am really excited for Last Jedi. I think it's going to be great. I think what I love about it is the internet theories and what everybody thinks is and Luke is this, and look at the way Luke's positioned on the poster, and then when someone drew in the characters were making Vader's helmet, and I really
everybody's got theories on Snoke, and
I loved
his name.
Yeah. I loved Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was amazing. I thought
me
Force
too.
Awakens was great. So I'm all in. My chips are all into the middle of the table with this. Sure. I cannot wait for Last Jedi.
I think it's going to be just off the chain. I think it's going to have a little bit more of a darker feel to it.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I read this thing about Mark Hamill saying that he was really uncomfortable with the direction they were putting the character in, but he was going with it anyways. I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
What are you telling? I mean, what are you saying? Like, obviously, Luke's going to go bad.
Yeah.
And who's going to bring him back? I mean, you know. So we'll see. Everyone's got theories.
Yeah. There's 101 theories about what's going to happen.
I'm here,
and I like the fact that they're not showing us too much.
Mm-hmm. I don't even want to watch trailers anymore, man.
I find that something Marvel does a little too much is they put everything in the trailer, and by the time it comes out, like
I've got friends of mine. I got friends of mine that don't watch trailers.
Yeah, I have a few too.
Like the Ragnarok, like it's a friend from work. Like, why did you give that away?
Yeah, I know.
But I know you want to get
that happened, and I had not known that was coming.
I'm telling you about it.
I think maybe it's a good thing because I think I might have just fainted right in the theater. But yeah, can't wait for that's probably the last one of the year, Last Jedi. And then next year we got just
next year is insane.
Black Panther.
We've got Infinity War, and there's a bunch we're forgetting probably.
There's an X-Men movie, and
and I mean there's
Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, and then there's that little movie that's going to come out at Christmas. That that movie about that guy, that Solo guy. I mean, that's not going to be anything.
Oh, right, that little thing. Yeah.
Listen, it's a great time
with Ron Howard directing.
Oh my God, Opie's like taking the chair on that one. It's going to be great. Ron Howard is like a legend.
Yeah. So I can't believe they got him for that.
I think it's a really fun time to be a nerd.
It is.
It really is.
I think. Just the fact that we're here doing this I think is a good example of that.
Absolutely.
We've inherited the earth.
Yes.
For sure. All right, man. I'm out of topics.
Well, listen, man, this has been fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm glad that I got to break the cherry on this one.
Yeah, for sure. It was a good time.
Cool.
I thank everybody for listening. It's been Edge of the Page. It's Jason Rockman, and hope to see you next time. Thanks.